Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 if you want to join us. When I say us, I'm talking about two very smart people. And one sounds smarter than the other because Marc Cameron
sounds smarter than he is.
He's talking about me. I sound smarter than you with my
British
Of course, yeah, that Minnesota accent. I love it.
You know, my wife just discovered that her family back in the 1500s, they were British, and then they were German, and then they went over and married some French royalty. And now I feel so inferior. I just don't have that in my background. It's not good. Anyway, if anybody wants to join us, we'd love for you to. And I was wondering if you guys could talk about not talking in families. People don't talk about painful things.
Yep.
Talk about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, the old we don't air our dirty laundry in public, and a lot of us live by that. And it's labeled loyalty to family. We keep things private, but I think it's really connected to shame and embarrassment, and probably not having had good modeling that says actually talking about our problems and shortcomings and sins will help us all to be better. But no, we think that if we hide it, we'll look better, and people won't know all the shameful secrets that we're hiding in our homes and under wraps. But it holds us back.
When you hide it and think that with time it'll go away, what actually happens is you go away. You lose yourself because you're not authentic. But you can get yourself back. What are you thinking there, Mark?
Well, and then we become avoidant, right? I mean, everything speaks. So, whether we give, the verbal message or it's the silent modeling, it's still speaking, right? And we learn, right? We have this conditioning for almost 2 decades in childhood, and if we learn to not talk about things, then we have to do something with that bother, right? And so we become avoidant. We learn to stuff and hold it in and become numb to it. And then that, when stuffing doesn't work, that makes us susceptible to addictions. And conflict is not a bad thing. Healthy conflict is good, right? Because that teaches us, and when parents do that and they model it for kids, it teaches kids how to work things out, teaches you how to negotiate and compromise, because you're going to go into a marriage and you're not going to agree on everything. And so you're going to need to know those skills. So learning how to repair is a real needed quality to learn.
Yeah.
I think it's the skill that I think when you go to high school, you ought to learn a lot about money management, and you ought to learn a lot about relationship management, which means learning to repair, because everybody has things that separate you and require repair.
Yeah, that's the most important education, I think, rather than, of course, learning these subjects are good, but life skills.
And when we know our spiritual inheritance, we're better able to prepare and handle our own likely shortcomings. My family's history of alcoholism. By knowing that, I can more cautiously decide how I'm going to handle alcohol in my life.
And not handle it. Just avoid it, too.
Which is handling it, but not healthily.
Good point. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, and I'm going to jump right in and talk to Katrina from Colorado Springs, KGFT, when we come back from this break. You are listening to New Life Live, and we're so grateful that we have supporters that keep us on the air. It's wonderful. Thank you, supporters, to keep us on the air. Remember, every dollar you send in, it gets matched. It's double dog dollar day right here. Because of the match. We'll be back after this.
our marriage was just so toxic and just so many simple interactions that turned into conflict. And so we signed up to participate in the workshop.
This is Steve Arterburn. Our Intimacy in Marriage workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The tools that we received from the Intimacy and Marriage workshop were tremendous. It was so much that we were able to take and utilize and actually come back and apply.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
The next Intimacy and Marriage workshop is October 20th to the 23rd in Dallas, Texas. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Best decision we could have ever made. There's no price that we can put on having healthy marriages.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Marc Cameron, Dr. Alice Benton, and Katrina. We're going to talk to you, Katrina. I'm going to punch that. There we go. Punch that button. Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. What did you call to tell us or ask us?
Well, I just wanted to call to be an inspiration to people because I just, on the August 28th, I have a year clean off of alcohol, methamphetamines, heroin, and fentanyl. So,
how did you do that?
Well, I absolutely hit rock bottom, first of all. I lost my 4-bedroom house. I mean, everything, my storage, and me and my husband were living in our Durango. And I just, one day, just started crying and just praying. And so
And then what did you do? You cried and prayed, and then what was next?
Cried and prayed, and then I laid in the mattress in the back of my Durango for about 3 days, sick as ever, wishing I was dead, really, because it's so physically hard to just stop doing all those things. Your body does things that you are just insane. And I went through it, and I went and applied at the Waffle House, and I've been working there for a year now, and I have like a new family there, and just I go to church every Sunday, and I just started reading the Bible because I've never read the Bible, and when I go to church and whatnot, you know, they're talking, and I don't know what they're talking about, so I'm just starting to try to learn, you know, the whole story of the Bible and try to, you know, I pray in the car for some reason. I always just pray in the car.
Katrina, let me ask you a question. Do you have a Life Recovery Bible?
No, I don't.
I'm going to send you one. We'll get your address. They're for folks like us who get our act together and need a little support from God, or a lot of support from God. And I'm so happy that you have this year. That's a big deal.
It's
really
huge.
Big deal.
And the biggest thing is about the alcohol, and that's why I called in, because I heard you guys talking about the alcoholism.
Yep.
Did you have tolerance for alcohol? Could you drink a lot when you drank?
Oh, God. I used to drink so much. I drank vodka. I drank at work. I drank.
How much could you drink in a day? How much could you drink in a day? I'm on a crusade for people to understand this. One day.
Oh, gosh. I mean, between a pint and a fifth of vodka.
Yeah. How tall are you?
5'5".
5'5" and a fifth of vodka. That's just incredible.
It's just
disgusting. I'm so glad you called. Yeah. I'm gonna send you the Life Recovery Bible. I hope you like that, and I'll send you the workbook that goes with it. And I would love it if you would start attending a life recovery group or maybe you start one. But Katrina, God bless you, and I hope that people are inspired by your story and know that, well, if you can do it, they can do it with God's help. That's the key.
Katrina, you have such an unusual story of being able to white knuckle your way through detox and withdrawal in the back of your vehicle. I'm astounded. And
Yeah.
I want you to take what Steve said very seriously, because we can't go it alone for long. And I heard you have your Waffle House family, you have your church. If you do not add structured recovery into the things that you've added into your life, which is fabulous so far, it leaves you vulnerable when the next wave hits, whether it's of being triggered or overwhelming stress, or you lose something else in your life. It's very difficult to hold sobriety together without going through more structured and even professional recovery process. So if you haven't added that in, please do.
Mark, you have anything you want to say?
No, I mean, that I would have just added to that, because I think you're going to learn principles in there, and some of them that you may already be doing, but some of them, like Alice is saying, are going to help you for the future. So learning to be prepared, right? There's something about prepared and planning that I want to say here, but I forget the phrase. I think it's the 7 Ps of planning, but being prepared anyway, regardless, being prepared is going to help you.
All right, wish we had those other P's there.
I know, I forgot it.
I bet one is...
I'll remember it here in a second. Proper
maybe-
planning and preparation prevents poor performance. There it is.
Ooh,
I got it.
Impressive.
There you go. That was quite impressive. Of
It
course,
would have
you
been
do
more
have-
impressive
If I'd
it
have said it
come
in the
10 seconds
moment,
ago.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I think that British accent does it all. Let's go over here and talk to Melissa from Allen, Texas. KWRD is the station. And we're glad you called. Melissa, how are you today, and what's going on?
I'm good. Good. How are y'all?
Good.
All
Pretty good.
right. I have a question. I have a sister who's 25, of which my parents adopted when she was an infant.
Okay.
I have a daughter she was 14 when my parents adopted her, so they are just super close, super close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now this sister's graduated college, has her career, and kind of, has pushed her out pretty much. And as far as the wedding, she hasn't involved her to even come, to look at the wedding dress or anything.
Really? And they spend a lot of time together.
They did. They did. She did her senior party. When she went away to college, we all went and got her room all together. I mean, we're just close-knit.
So what's the question for us then?
So the group of friends she has is pretty much her priority right now. And what we're trying to figure out is, how can my daughter sit down and talk to her and let her know she's hurt? She has texted once, and that was for my daughter to help her with some crafts with the wedding. And that was it.
Well, I think you have to make a bold move. I mean, your daughter needs to make a bold move. And when they are alone, she should just say, hey, I was curious. We spend so much time together. Why am I not involved in the wedding at all? Because it hurts that I'm not involved in the wedding at all.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean,
And do you guys think that's a good approach to talk about it, or maybe not?
Yeah, I
What do you
mean, we
think?
were talking about this in the opening segment, right? About not talking about the thing that is there, and I think that if you don't talk about the thing that is there, that hurt will remain unresolved, and it will keep on coming up in future interactions. And so the best thing to do is just to tackle it head on. And I love the way that you brought it up, Steve, in being able to talk about how it impacts you, how it makes you feel for the person who's on the other end, right? And then just create space. And it's okay, I'm sure there's reasons why she's maybe not a bridesmaid here, but just learning to be open and talk about it and be able to communicate.
And if she needs to tell her that some guy on radio thought that was really mean to not have her in the wedding.
Well,
Alice,
and the other
what do
thing
you?
is-
What's the
Go
other
ahead,
thing?
I'm sorry.
What's the other thing, Melissa?
So So when we went to the engagement party, it's like her new set of friends are very, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way, kind of,
Good luck.
I don't, hoity-toity, I guess. I don't know what else to say.
Hoity-toity.
But, yes, so we're kind of like put aside, you know. I mean, and, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just, you feel different around her. Like, we're not, I don't know. It's just hard to explain. Like, we don't fit in anymore. And my daughter, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain
Trust
it.
me, I think everybody understands what you're talking about.
So
Alice, your thought
it
there.
could be in part that your sister has moved into sort of a different social class and she's leaving your daughter behind. There's a big age difference, but that maybe she doesn't want to fully include her, and that's really confusing. Is there anything else, Melissa, you can identify that may have led to the rupture, especially anything on your daughter's part, even though she's so young? Did she say anything that upset your sister?
No, I mean, my daughter is 38, works from home. You know, she has 8-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old. Her husband's a football coach, always gone. So she's pretty busy at home. So she will try to incorporate my sister, you know, hey, come over, or because it's kind of hard to load up 3 kids and go, you know, downtown Dallas. It's just
Well, you know
not feasible. She can't do that.
It's it makes me wonder if your daughter's just not being used a little bit here, you know?
Yeah, that's how she's feeling right now because she has
I would too.
done everything. I mean, she's been like a sister, a mother, a counselor, just everything to her. And, you know, so she's just hurt. And I've told her just sit down and talk with her. And she said, well, she texted me for crafts because she's good at crafts. So, but that was it.
So, Melissa, I'd recommend in this conversation your daughter has with her aunt that she would still keep a humble posture, even though there's nothing obvious on her side, and that the reasons for the distance might be superficial, which would be very sad if that's the full story.
That's sorry to interrupt really quick, but that is exactly what my daughter said. It said that she's becoming superficial. Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing from you. And so I would still keep an open posture and maybe use wording like, I miss you. I'm confused by the new distance between us. And I'm wondering, did I do something? Did I say something that added to a break between us? Because I really want to know what my part was and whether or not we can repair that. I want close relationship with you again. But your daughter has to be prepared that her aunt may no longer want relationship. She might be rejected. It's a risky invitation to ask somebody for this kind of feedback, but it will reveal some truth.
I
We
like
talk
that,
about-
though, starting
yeah.
off with I miss you.
Yeah, but you also may have to end up with I feel used. I mean, she might have to, you know, and because I think that the not having her in the wedding should help her to lower her expectations of what this response is going to be. In other words, you're not, I just don't, I mean, there are lots of things that people can do in weddings to be included.
And your sister's 25, is that right, Melissa?
Yes, she is.
Yeah,
She's
and
25.
some of this could just be a maturity issue too, right? She's getting married, she's mid-20s, she's trying to figure out where she fits in here, and you know, maybe even you saying something to your sister that about your daughter is hurt, and like Steve is saying here, there's different ways that people can be honored in the process, and so maybe that's something to help also bring to your sister's attention.
So, message to everybody else is be careful who you don't involve, and if there's a place, that would be wonderful. Well, let me send you my wife's Bible, a 1-year Bible for women. I hope that you like that. And also, I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love. And in there, if your daughter would read it, she might discover who the aunt really is and why she does some of the things that she does. It could be very powerful for her. So you hold on, and we'll get that to you. Anybody else, you can get those things at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You know,
Great. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you. October 20th, Intimacy in Marriage. And one of the things that people talk about, or that is presented there, family of origin. Families of origin, they have an impact. It's a strong one. And it's important that we let go of the family of origin issues so we're not dragging them all around for the rest of our lives. Really a good thing to let it go. Well, if you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and signing up for Intimacy in Marriage could make a pretty good marriage pretty great. We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back and glad you're with us. By the way, Club New Life, I love Club New Life. We do a little Zoom meeting, and I get to teach some things, but mainly get to hear how you're doing, what you're doing, and why you think I should be smarter on radio, things like that that are so fun. October the 12th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern is our next one. And if you join Club New Life, you'll be part of that, and we would love for you to be part of that. But right now, we're going to go back to our phones, and let's talk with Joy, St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri, Sirius XM. Let's see if Joy has joy or she is in the midst of something that's not joyful at all. Hi, Joy. How are you today? What's going on?
Hi. So nice of you to take my call.
Sure.
I'm going to give you a little background before I ask my question.
Okay.
So 10 years ago, my whole life fell apart. I discovered that my husband had a sex addiction, and it was at 10 years ago. It wasn't as well known. I had heard somebody on the radio talking about it, and I looked it up, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is a thing. I had discovered he had a porn habit where I should preface this by telling you he's a physician,
we're both Christians. We were leaders in the church, led children's ministry, did all kinds of things, very involved in church. He had an office in the home that it was down the basement, and I was always told it was locked because there was patient information. And one time we was out of town, I went in and discovered that it was full of pornography. There was lingerie in every size, from extra, extra small to extra, extra large. It was, I could not make sense of how this could happen. We were seeing a counselor at the time, and I packed up all these things, and I went to the counselor and said, what do I do with this? And he said, I don't know. I've never seen anything of this magnitude. And I said, well, I need to know, does he need to clean it up? Do I have to put it all back? I don't want this in my house. What do I do? And he really didn't have anything that he could do, that he could tell me. I looked on the computer, and I found that my husband had been on numerous dating sites, had contacted all kinds of women. When he came home and I confronted him with it, he said, oh, that's all old stuff. It doesn't mean anything. And what he told me was, if anything ever got out, I would lose my practice. Our kids would starve. We would have nothing. You can't say anything. So that went on. I know this is the beginning. Then in 2013, I discovered a receipt for a car, and I asked him, who was this car for? And he wouldn't tell me. Eventually,
so let's do this. I found out
that he had. Okay.
Give us a headline or two, and then ask us a question. Because if you're still on 2013, it's gonna.
Okay. All right. Okay. I was just going to jump from there.
Okay.
2016, he divorced me. One of his sugar babies was black, and all of his sugar babies were young. They were black. They were financially in bad positions. And when I tried to reconcile with him, I told him, I will never be these things, and if that's what you want. And he said, no, they're just cheaper.
Okay.
Anyway, we divorced, and 3 years ago, my daughter came forward and told me that her father had sexually abused her as a child.
Oh, boy.
So just when you think you've had all the pain you can have, anyway, my two younger children all my children are grown, have nothing to do with their father. They haven't seen him in 10 years.
Well, wait, hold
my
on.
Son,
what did you do when you heard that he had sexually molested your daughter?
I was so shocked. We were in front of his sister, and his sister said, I think it's ridiculous that you won't have a relationship with your dad. And she said this, and his sister looked at her and said, I don't believe you. And I said,
what did you do?
Don't believe her,
what did you do?
I said, just because, as a mother, I screamed at my sister-in-law and said, just because you don't believe it doesn't make it true.
And Joy,
Yep.
were the authorities involved?
No, the authorities have not been involved because my daughter doesn't want to. Having the first person, she said it out loud, to tell her that she didn't believe her. My ex-husband, like I said, he's a physician. People don't believe my story. They would think that I was crazy. That was what my husband led with.
Okay, I want you to listen to me for a second.
Not.
I want you to listen for a second. Okay. What kind of physician is your ex-husband?
He's an internist.
Okay. When we don't report things, we are responsible for anybody else being abused.
And that's part of my question.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm glad that is. And you can call Child Protective Services. You can even do it anonymously and give them so many details that they will say, we need to do something here, because if you don't do something, this guy is probably abusing other people. Because he would have come to you and said, look, I'm a different man now, but he hasn't done that. And I'm concerned about you and him, but more concerned about victims, and that's why we have to do something about it.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Now, what is the question for us? We really do want to help you here, and I'm so sorry for all that pain that you've been through.
Mm-hmm. So the question I have is, my oldest son sees his father and told me 2 weeks ago that his father has brought over a woman from China who doesn't speak any English. He has gone back to the church we used to go to. He takes her to church. She uses an app. She ends up getting saved and baptized. And so the church thinks that this is wonderful and has embraced it. And what I look at it as is he has just found another way to find a person who she couldn't ask these questions. She could see things and she wouldn't even know what was going on. But to me, it's almost like sex trafficking for you to bring somebody in. And so I thought about calling the church and talking to the pastor.
Ask
there,
me a question.
But
Ask
I
me a
don't know
question.
Is my response? Do I have responsibility to this other woman, to the church that he's in now, to let them know that this is his background, and I have seen no sense of anything that he's changed in any way.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think we ought to go to Alice first. She's got a PhD. She ought to know the answer to this. What should she do, Alan?
Joy, I want to start with anguish. The anguish your heart and mind and body must have been in for all these years, first and foremost for your daughter, and then what your husband has done to you. And so I think the question about your husband's fiancé is secondary to the report being made to Child Protective Services and perhaps to the Board of Medicine that your husband is a dangerous man. And those steps may answer the other question about the wife. So I would actually set that question aside for right now. And it's so complex when your daughter doesn't want the report made. But we're in a position where we know information that if we hold it back, as Steve pointed out, other people are likely being victimized. You point that out about this woman herself, that she's likely being victimized by your ex-husband. And so first and foremost, I'd connect you with a clinician so that that therapist can help walk you through and participate in, even take lead in making the report to Child Protective Services first, and then to your husband's board that sits over him in authority.
And I just wonder, in all of this, maybe you know the answer to this, but did anybody talk to your daughter about the fact that if you don't report it, then there's a chance that the same thing that happened to you, daughter, will happen to somebody else? Joy, did anybody talk to her about that?
I don't think we have access to Joy right now.
Really? No Joy. Okay. Well, that's what I would be concerned about.
6. Oh, there we are. She's on now, Steve.
Joy, are you on?
No.
Interesting.
So something we
of not believing that I'm asking her to go through, when that is a decision. And in the state of Missouri, she has till she's 48 to press charges.
By the way, she doesn't have to do anything. Child Protective Services goes and investigates. And they might have a conversation with your daughter, but this isn't something where she's got to, go to court and all this kind of stuff. In the right place, they videotape what your daughter would say one time, and then they use that in court rather than her have to go to court. It's really a great system when it's in place. I would encourage your daughter to think about the two of you anonymously reporting it.
Well, I will see her, and I mean, she doesn't live in the same city as me anymore.
Yeah.
She's very accomplished. She has her PhD. She's a very bright woman with a very, and has tried to move beyond the pain.
Okay, but you see where my focus is? It's not.
I understand. I did. I mean, he used to see patients for free who were women who were in a halfway house, and I reported to them that it wasn't safe. He had signed up to be a big brother, and I reported to them that it wasn't safe.
Okay. Well,
I've spoken from my voice. I just didn't know if my voice means anything with Child Protective Services.
Yeah, it would.
Because
it really
didn't
would.
happen to me.
Well, let me just say this, Joy, because I don't know how old your daughter was when this came out, and she said she revealed the news. Was she a minor or was she an adult?
She was an adult.
Okay. So the tricky thing with Child Protective Services is they're not likely going to investigate your daughter's abuse because she's an adult. But the thing about reporting it that is important is that your husband's in a role where he has access to others. And what you're saying here, too, access to people who are vulnerable. And, he has that power dynamic being a physician examining somebody, where they can be vulnerable. So it's important, I think, to protect others, as Steve and Alice are saying, by making that report. And it's not you then doing the investigation. Then now you release it, and then other people, the authorities, investigate. I will say this, though, because I think there's going to be other people who are listening who are maybe in slightly different situations. Just because if your daughter was a minor, if the other people out there are listening, and they have kids and the kids don't want to report, we have an obligation as parents to protect them, right? And so even if they don't want to report, we're obligated to report as their parents to show them how to protect themselves. And now, and I just want to touch on your other concern about, is it your responsibility to tell this other woman? I don't think you're held responsible to tell every other woman who your husband ever meets, but I think that you live out and you do your responsibility here in where it affects you and affects your daughter.
I don't think it's wrong for you to reach out and to try to tell her, but you are left in this position of being the police and the private investigator, kind of following your husband and alerting every agency that he gets connected with. And I applaud you that you have made those efforts to try to keep other people safe. And just putting it up to a higher authority takes you out of that position of having to follow him and warn people.
And you're not going to heal if you're following your husband around in all of his relationships, wanting to report to every new potential person. That's going to prevent your healing. So do your part and make the report on the things that have affected you and your family, and then let the authorities lead with the investigation.
All right, I'll send you Healing is a Choice, my way of saying thank you for calling this program. And a person that I'm grateful for, Larry Sonnenberg, is in the studio there. Larry, what do you have for us today?
Well, excuse me, I just want to remind all the listeners that we have a matching gift. And we're looking forward to getting it matched. Started at $361,000. Because this program is recorded, I don't have an update today, but I'm confident we still need some help to get that matched. And you can make a difference. Anything you give, $5, $10, $2,000, anything will be doubled. So thank you. And
I bet you have a testimony.
I do.
All right, there we go.
I do. This one's for radio. I listen to New Life every morning on my way to work. It's become part of my morning ritual. The moment I turn the podcast on, my anxiety about the day starts to fade away as I lean into God's Word through the wisdom of Steve, Sherry, Becky, Chris, Alice, Mark, whoever's on that day, to apply the gospel to everyday human experiences. A couple years ago, I made a plan to end my life, but I was able to receive therapy, and that surely saved my life. The ministry of New Life Live continues to help me keep close to God's Word and His intention for my life. I hope my small monthly contribution is helpful to someone else that may be in a similar spot in their life.
Amen.
And that they may come to realize their life is worth living. Pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
I'm not sure, we all don't realize the difference that this program makes to somebody who's listening. Life and death, not every day, every person, but it definitely happens. So,
you know, Larry, it's so common. It's really common for us to hear people say they almost took their life.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And I'm so sad about that. But she made the right decision. And every person that supported us getting this radio wave out there, you saved her life. You did. And thank you for doing that.
Amen.
If anybody can help us, and we've got this match, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or go to newlife.com. There is a New Life app. That's a great place to do things. And all of these places you can listen to the program easily. But you can just call us and we'll take care of it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're going to take a big break here and come back for the final segment. And I'm going to go to Dee, who's patiently been waiting in Knoxville, Tennessee, WRJZ. Talk to you right after this, Dee. And then anybody else that wants to talk.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and let's go to Dee from Knoxville, Tennessee, WRJZ. Dee, how are you today? And really interested in how we could help you.
Well, thank you. I'm okay. I just have a question about my 22-year-old son who went away to college for 2 years and did okay, but came home and has struggled and got diagnosed with persistent depressive disorder. Mm-hmm. And we don't really even know what that is. And anyway, he just seems so stuck. Like he says it's just he can't make himself do what he should do. But he does manage to work a part-time job. He's a lifeguard and does swim lessons and supervises the lifeguards. But
well, let me ask you, who determined that he had this depressive condition?
Well, he went to a counseling session through college here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and did they prescribe or suggest that maybe medication could be helpful?
Yes, he's been on some medication.
What do you know? What he's taking?
No, okay. I don't remember.
Okay, let's hear from Alice and Mark what they're thinking here about this young man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you called in here, Dee. Yeah, so persistent depressive disorder, what that means is just that the depressive episodes keep coming back, and that's why it's persistent. And so that's what that means. And so if it's persistent, he likely will need, ongoing care with a psychiatrist, because sometimes people have depressive episodes, and sometimes it flows from losing a job, a death of a loved one, and so that makes sense. But this sounds like it's going to be ongoing, and maybe there could be some kind of imbalance in chemicals for your son, where this condition may last for a long time for him, if not even a lifetime. And so he likely will need a psychiatrist. I definitely think if he's not doing counseling, having a counselor alongside with that, just so that he has kind of a treatment plan to address the ongoing conditions. What have you tried for your son, and what are you most concerned about? Does he have suicidal thoughts?
Not that he shared with us, but I guess just that he feels so stuck and he feels so bad about himself. And then his spiritual life, he just told me the other day, he feels like he's prayed to God all his life to help him, and then that God hasn't answered, so he's just going to do it on his own.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the hard thing about depression, right, is because it gives us negative thinking, and so that's kind of our lens. We view everything through disappointment and a low mood, and so it can be really, really hard when we feel that way often. And it's probably going to be important for him to have a counselor who he can trust, who he can regularly go to and kind of talk through these things as he builds relationship. And I think for you, maybe you guys could even join a counseling session with him, right, to find out how best that you can support him. And for him too, his depression, it may just be, it may not have got to the point where it's suicidal ideations, but it may just kind of be this low-level mood that he just experiences all the time, which is really hard.
Yeah. And he says he doesn't have the motivation, like, to go to college,
Right.
to do his schoolwork, to help out around the house, or, you know.
Here's what I think. There are many medications, and some work for some body types, and some work for different ones. And you need to find the one that works for him. I've got another thing I want to tell you, but Alice, what are you thinking here?
Dee, it's so difficult for family members to know how much do we comfort and protect versus how much do we challenge, push, and expect. Because anybody, but especially someone struggling with depression, they need both, and they need the right balance of both. And it's an art in a way versus a science. And so getting that family therapy session, and then for you and your husband to get into NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is groups for family members of people struggling with depression and other mental health issues, so that you can learn about his disorder and then how you as parents should respond. And a good clinician and a group can really help you with that. Lastly, our friend Dr. Daniel Amen has clinics across the United States that do brain scans, because we get stuck thinking something's wrong with me, I'm messed up, that I'm depressed, or God doesn't love me and he's not answering my prayers and that's why I'm depressed, where usually there's a brain or a chemical impairment that's taking place, and it can be rectified with medication, with exercise, the right supplements. So pull all those things into the treatment plan.
So, Dee, I want to encourage you to do something. And it comes from my experience with my wife. When members of our family, our kids, have had a problem, my wife has become the chief resourcer of the world. She goes to every website. She asks people what they did, finds every resource possible. And I'm just going to encourage you to be that for your son. God uses us to do his work. And I believe the right psychiatrist who really understands newer medication could find that medication that really works for your son. And here's how you'll know. He'll start to talk about college or something like that he was saying, I'd never do that. And there's just so much hope when something that is persistent and will not go away, when a doctor really knows his stuff and cares enough to work with you to find the right medication. Because we don't want anybody on medication, doesn't need to be, but I really think, in this case, you ought to have a psychiatrist that really knows his stuff, look at him and see what
and
could be
another
done.
thing that could be helpful, this is just a suggestion, is to do a genetic test, because there's so many different antidepressants out there. Sometimes it can be like trial and error. And so when you do a genetic test, and most insurances may cover it, and if they don't, I don't think it's too costly, that kind of lets you know with your biology which medications that you would respond best to, and so it takes a lot of the guessing out of it.
Yeah. All right. I'm so glad you called, and I will send you Healing as a Choice, because it does help a lot. Even though there may not be physical healing, we can do everything else to usher in whatever healing is available. Well, we're at the end of the program. And I just hope that you will get involved with one of the things that we do around here. And October 7th, we're going to be doing the Life Recovery Connection. That is our workshop. It's online, and it's such a boost to your recovery. And we're getting close, October 27, 28, Museum of the Bible. It's the Lumina event. It's our partnership with Museum of the Bible. It really does inspire and instructs women who want to go back home and get in a Bible study, lead a Bible study, teach their kids Scripture. It really does make a difference. Come join us. And then you can find out about it at luminawomen.org. As we close out the program, Alice, what do you want to close the program with today?
Well, Steve, what you suggest about the spiritual cleanup side of things through the process of recovery and re-engaging with Scripture, spiritual baggage weighs us down and exacerbates depression, anxiety, addiction. Get into that cleanup work, folks. It will only benefit you to do so.
Amen. Hey, we love you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you can help us, or if you need help. Same number. Give us a call. See you, Mark. Thank you, Alice. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.